if you've ever tried to use a shotgun in CQB because you saw that it worked in Call of Duty, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. Welcome back. We all know that shotguns in real life are way too long for CQB, but when you have something like this, the TM M870 Breacher, you can do basically anything. And that's what I want to talk about today, guys. Usually when I get a new airsoft gun for Airsoft in Japan, I like to do a review of it to give people an impression and kind of give myself a reflection period. I did it for the AKM, I did it for the M870 in a short form video, the long boy anyway, and I did it for the AK Storm. So this was my first time ever using this thing. And it was also the first time I ever went to the field that I fielded this thing at. So I went to Raid Point in Shinjuku here in Japan, and it was very, very new to me while using a new platform as well. So everything was completely fresh and new, and I wanted to give my good, bad, and some reflection, and I wanted to give my good and bad feedback about this bad boy right here. So number one, the size. It's about 500 millimeters long, which is about half the size of the long boy M870 there in the back, and this thing is absolutely fantastic for CQB. Spaces in Japan can be really, really tight. It's not as simple as saying go step back from cover, do some high ready and stuff like that. You sometimes really do not have that much space at all, less than a door frame. You'll see in some of the gameplays coming up that I was inside spaces that are literally 2 feet wide, and this thing gave me no issues. I felt so comfortable with it, almost like I was using a pistol, and I felt very mobile. I felt very maneuverable. I could switch it very easily to the other hand. I felt like I didn't really need to switch because of the size, and the lack of the stock helps me keep my dominant eye and keep my dominant hand on the trigger. And this has just been a completely great experience for me to learn the shotgun. And it really is probably the best way to learn the shotgun platform and how to play with it, because the gameplay style is quite different from using a rifle, and it's just much better than using the M870 tactical, where you have to learn the shotgun platform and then also learn how to maneuver your gun in tight CQB. So this was clearly built for Japan CQB and gameplay purposes, while the M870 is more for kind of plinking. So with maneuverability comes mobility as well. So I was actually able to be very fast with this, but I don't want to say too much on that because at Shinjuku Raid Point, there really is a speed limit and you can't really abuse the amount of speed this thing can give you. So I'm just going to skip over that. Let's talk about Tokyo Marui accuracy. So I was shooting this thing on 3-shot because that's what was allowed. Was not allowed to use the 6-shot. So the 3-shot is inherently more accurate than the 6-shot. And with that being said, this thing was shooting up to 20 meters, pretty accurate. I was able to beam people across the map in most cases if they weren't behind a head glitch or something like that. And I was surprised about how accurate this thing was. If you just zero in the optic, it's pretty much going in that direction. So this was really, really great. And I was actually learning to just kind of hip fire with it sometimes. And even when I hip fired with it, it was pretty much going where I wanted it to go. But I was basically kind of just using it with the sight, and it was very, very nice. And with that comes its consistency. The consistency of this thing is just really great, and that comes with the gas. We're using duster gas, so it's built for Marui guns, and Marui guns are built for duster gas, so we're not changing any of the elements. So everything just works as it's intended to work, like an Apple computer. And I was getting really good gas consistency out of this. I had never actually ran out of gas during the firefights, and I always had kind of 2 on me anyway, so if I did run out, I could just kind of pistol reload this thing. So it was really, really nice. And honestly, no problems with the gas there. And I didn't really have to warm up the gas anyway, since I'm using this for indoor. The temperatures are pretty okay, around like 14, 15, 17. And at the ranges I was firing at, it didn't really matter anyway. All right, so let's move on to the bad, and I'm gonna start with in between good and bad. So inherently, the rate of fire on this shotgun is bad when you compare it to a semi-automatic weapon. So, you know, shoot, and you know, you're not going to get as fast as someone kind of beaming you. But that being said, again, I was at Raid Point, and they have a 3-tap rule. So it's 1, 2, 3, stop. 1, 2, 3, stop. You have to kind of go by that. So I didn't really have to follow any of that. So I wasn't really facing people spamming me. So I could just kind of, right? So the rate of fire did put me at a slight disadvantage. However, I will say that this is a good rate of fire for a shotgun because it's a gas shotgun. So I'm not really pulling against anything. So I think I won a gunfight just by doing that. I was just like on that dude. So it's very, very fast, very, very responsive. And I don't have to fight against like really, really tough springs. So I could really, really get back into a fight, do a lot of quick peeking and stuff like that. So I just have to say its rate of fire is bad, but it's really good for what it is. So now we're actually going to move on to the bad things. The bad thing is that the range is not as high as you would like it to be. In indoor airsoft here, you want to reach 25 meters, no problem. This thing would reach about 20 with maximum spread. And the optimum range would be around 10 meters, of course, 15. So if I was trying to beam someone from across the room, I couldn't beam them as much as I could with the rifle by lining up my sight and just beaming that guy in the head glitch. I kind of had to shoot a bunch of times to get him. It still reached, but it was like very, very spread out at that point. The next thing is that this thing is very loud. So if I were trying to be stealthy and I try to fight someone, they're going to hear that across the room. It's not like you get a silencer and you just pop somebody. It's just like, oh, someone was there. So there was a number of times where I got shot in the back after engaging someone and taking down a few guys because they knew exactly where my location was. So you have to be able to move around and be able to fight off people who are coming for you. So the noise is a downside, but it is so badass. All right, next is reloads. So reloads are inherently slower on shotguns as opposed to using a pistol or an AR or SMG. So if you want to reload this thing, you have to take this out and you got to get a new one and you got to put it in. And then if you have to rack, you have to rack it. But fortunately for me, I practice reloads a lot. So I already have kind of this muscle memory already down. So like I already know kind of what I'm doing. So that's very easy. One of the things is you can't really drop your magazines on the ground because if you do, you're likely going to lose them because they're not as big as, you know, an AR-15 or an AK magazine, but I still managed to lose an AK magazine before. So reloads, if you don't have them practiced, it will be hard. And when you have such low ammo capacity, 5 rounds or 10 rounds, you got to make sure your reloads are on point or you're able to transition really quickly if you have this thing on a sling. So the next thing is sight picture, and this thing doesn't have a stock. And because of that, you don't have a consistent cheek weld, a consistent point of contact for you to get that perfect sight picture on your optics. So there were a lot of times where if I saw someone over 15 meters or something like that, I couldn't bring up the gun perfectly to get my sight on him and then take the shot. I had to kind of like, you know, get it on there because there's really nothing for me to pull on. Now, one of the solutions to that was to kind of put it up to my face and just have the optic on my face like this. But that was only if I was kind of ready and I was already kind of doing this. Now, the only reason that you can do that is because this is an airsoft gun, right? If I were to do this with a real shotgun, I would just kind of blow my own face off, right? So that's where you kind of have to draw the line between gameplay and realism. And this thing is meant for gameplay. And in Japan, we play with one like game mode. So getting that first shot in is probably the most important thing over any kind of realism thing. So one of the things you could do is if behind your sling, you can have it tight enough so that when you're punching out that it's kind of pulling tension on there. Or if you had a 2-point sling, you can kind of just pull it out and then it would kind of pull like the SAS MP5 3-point sling tactic. But I don't have any rails on this, so I can't really do that. And the 1-point sling actually makes it very, very nice to kind of stow away and kind of go through in CQB, which this is what this is made for. So the solution for that, honestly, is training. So just practicing that side picture and getting it up no matter the situation. All right, so the last thing is a first world problem. This thing does not have a tracer. So I can't see my BBs indoors. So that sucks for YouTube, so you guys can't see. And it kind of sucks for me because I'm not used to not using tracers and I like to always know where my bullets are going. But on this, I kind of just had to believe. I had to believe in the dot and make sure it's zeroed and just kind of see what I could with the little light I had. So that kind of sucks. So sometimes I didn't know if I hit somebody or not. But just something you got to get used to. Okay, so now that we've talked about the good and the bad, I want to talk about some of the observations I've made with my gameplay when it came to using a shotgun for real for the first time. I definitely played more defensively. One, I wasn't very comfortable with the map, and two, I wasn't comfortable with the platform, and three, I did not have the firepower to be as aggressive as I could have. So I can't just go in and go and know what I'm always doing. So I kind of have to play a little bit more aggressively because I don't have that rate of fire and because I have less range. So I noticed that playing a little bit more campy gave me better results than me just rushing out and going for it because I just did not have that range. But with that being said, once I learned the map and I learned how the people played in that lobby for that particular day, things became better, and I was able to maneuver around the map a lot easier and gain more confidence. And as I learned the platform over the 4 hours that I played, it became really, really easy to use this thing, and I knew what I could and couldn't do very quick. And the last thing is, I don't like doing quick shots. So a quick shot, okay, is one, and you kind of do this thing. So back from cover like that. And that's something I never really liked to do, and I never felt like I needed to do it because I had such firepower to just kind of suppress someone. But I learned, just because of the nature of this platform, that I can't just hold it down like this because I might not have the reaction time to do that. And I got a lot of kills just going bam and then quick shotting, bam and then quick shotting. And I feel like I had more of that advantage too, because usually if I have a long rifle, I usually don't have the luxury to step back from cover, get that angle I want, and then be able to go in and out like that. But with this, I'm easily able to boom, put it back, boom, put it back, boom, put it back. With the rifle, it's like boom, shit, boom, shit. Unless I have a lot of space, then yes, I can do it. So I felt like in CQB, I was able to finally learn that skill. And I want to bring that skill over to my rifles and everything like that and start training that more to be more like your boy Philip. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. This has been the M870 Breacher overview, first impressions, whatever it may be. And honestly, guys, I'm looking forward to editing a lot of gameplays with this thing, and that should be coming soon, hopefully. Guys, thanks so much for watching. And lastly, I'd like to give a special thanks to my channel members who support the channel financially, because going out to play Airsoft is 50 bucks for one life game modes, and I get to sit out for half of them. So thank you so much. And for those of you who aren't members, thanks so much for watching the ads. That shit helps. So thank you so much, guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.